All right, so I just saw yesterday Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, and although I didn't have the best quality version to watch, it was a little dark at times. I fucking loved it. Like, I really had a fun time with this movie. Like, no one really had any expectations for this. Like, none of the friends I've talked to, none of the YouTubers I've talked to, like, none of us really had any expectations at all for this movie. And when I first heard of it, I immediately thought of the Banana Splits movie that we got a few years back. And while that was fun, was not a good slasher movie. Or a good movie in general, actually. Because there was no on screen kills. There was nothing really good at all about that movie. Except for it just having the gimmick of being killer banana splits. Like, that was basically it. So when I heard about this movie coming out, and you guys know I don't watch trailers or anything, so I had no expectations at all. I had no idea what to expect going into this. This was a fucking fantastic slasher movie. Like, it really was. Like, there are a lot of great kills in this movie. And I say it all the time as a huge slasher fan, is pretty much that's the only thing I look for in a slasher movie. Is just great kills and gore, make sure they're on screen, these kills, and some cool characters or a cool look of the killer. That's basically it. And we get that in spades with this movie. So, without giving any spoilers away, basically, and I'm not a Winnie the Pooh person. I never got into Winnie the Pooh. I didn't grow up with watching them or them watching the show or anything like that or reading the books. Was never a Winnie the Pooh person. I was more of a Sesame Street person when I was a kid. So I don't really know much about Winnie the Pooh except that he loves honey and all his little friends that he has were Piglet and Tigger and Eeyore and whatever the two other ones that don't really get a name. They basically have turned feral because Christopher Robins left to go to school. So he went to school to be a doctor. After their whole years of friendship growing up together with Christopher Robins playing with all of them and getting them food, he had to go to school to be a doctor. And Pooh, Piglet, and the rest of them felt betrayed. And they ended up going through a long winter and they had to basically eat Eeyore in order to survive. And they took a vow of silence that they weren't going to speak ever again. And they basically turned all their love for Christopher Robins into hatred, like for all human beings, and especially Christopher Robins for abandoning them. So it's a cool concept, like right off the bat there. But the kills in this movie are great. Like I said, I don't want to spoil them, but they're graphic. They're on screen. From what I could see, like with this kind of shitty quality version I watched, go on for a pretty long time too. Like there's no cutting away. Like it really surprised me. So anyone who's looking for just a great slasher movie that has this awesome gimmick of being Winnie the Pooh, now I wonder why, and I'm sure it's a rights thing, of why it's only Piglet and Pooh in this movie. Eeyore, I already said, got eaten by all of them during a harsh winter. So why we don't see Tigger, I don't know the history of the books and everything. I read that the first Winnie the Pooh book was released in 1926 here in America, and after 90 something years or something like that, it goes public domain. So I don't know if maybe Tigger wasn't in the first book and he came later so that he didn't enter the public domain as a character yet. That's kind of what I'm assuming, but Pooh and Piglet are the only ones in this movie that we see going around killing people. And basically, after Christopher Robins left, he ends up coming back with his fiancée to try to prove to her that they were real, that his childhood friends were real, and he's coming back to check on them. And that's when things all go downhill. If you love slasher movies, and I guess an added bonus, if you like Winnie the Pooh, and you don't want your childhood ruined, well, I guess stay away from it if you don't want it ruining your childhood memories of Winnie the Pooh. But besides that, I had an awesome time with this. And I talked to a friend of mine. He had a blast with this movie too. So if you go in just looking for a great slasher movie with great kills, definitely check this out. As I say, usually would I go to a theater and pay the money that it costs to go to a movie nowadays? Like it's $22 here in New York for a single ticket? No, that's why I didn't go. There's almost no film that I would pay to go to the movies nowadays to see, unless it was something that I'm really, really looking forward to. But would I, of course, go? If you want to have a fun night at the movies, this is definitely a movie that you'll have a fun time with. But that's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I was very surprised by this. So I can't wait for some time to go by and I'll do a full spoiler discussion on it because there is some awesome stuff in this movie. So wherever you guys are from, hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. And I will probably have Final Destination 2 up, video on that later tonight. So take care, guys.